Yeah, let me get that audio check one more time.
Audio check.
Audio check.
Audio check.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it that way. I'm not gonna lie. It'll just be like shoot, test 1 2 3, test 1 3, but instead of
Audio.
audio check.
Audio check.
Is it though? Is it checked? Oh my
What's
god,
the?
dude! Speaking of Czech, I just got back from the Czech Republic. So apologies
Yeah, how was
everybody.
that?
Yeah, apologies everybody. We missed a couple of weeks there. I forget what delayed us the first week. I think our schedule is just one of us being a doctor and the other one being a complete nerd playing way too many games. We'll let you guys guess who's who there in that lineup. Just that the schedule didn't really line up too well. And then I went over to the Czech Republic for stuff regarding the main channel, which for those that don't know, if you've ever played Escape from Tarkov and the voice sounds familiar, yes, NoiceGuy, aka NoiceGuy Tarkov.
That's
Press
him.
pass. Yep, that do be me. It is surprising how many people I have mentioning that. So, and it's only been a couple of weeks that I've changed to the Autistic Armchair General. But let's be honest, the name checks out.
He do be tism.
Yep, it does do be the tismness is this, and yeah, for the main channel, Gray Zone Warfare flew myself, Clean, Operator Drewski, and Rilo, who I don't know if his name is extending any further than that. I think it's just Rilo. I don't know if it's like Rilo Gaming or whatnot, but they flew us out to the Czech Republic, which is where their studio's at. And we got to hang out with all the devs. They put us up in a hotel, showed us around town. I'll put up some pictures up on the edit here, but bro, this was my first time in Europe. This was Drewski's first time in Europe. It wasn't Clean's first time, but he never really stopped there for too long. It was mostly like layovers. And Rilo said he's been there a whole bunch of times. But in terms of like a first trip to Europe, it was fucking fantastic. All of the devs over at Madfinger, I almost wanted to call it Gray Zone Warfare, but Madfinger, all the devs, yeah, they do have an interesting name. All those guys and girls are awesome. They're great people. They're great devs. They really love their game, and they really love games in general. And of which we actually talked pretty extensively about Broken Arrow with those devs, and we talked about like RTS games because we did a little bit of an interview in the studio, and they asked us like what was our first games and stuff, and I said what people have heard here on the pod. I said Command and Conquer Generals, and a bunch of the devs were like woo, like they said like they did like a woo, and they did like a little quick clap. I don't know if they're gonna actually air that interview that we did with them, but I don't know if they'll like show that off or whatever. But yeah, that was the thing. And then we went to the bar later that night and talked about it, and a bunch of them played Generals, and we did the thing we were doing the voice lines is I am big, China will grow larger. Can I have some shoes? Like stuff like we were just randomly saying shit like that, like genuinely to cap that off. Like I'll show some pictures. That was a fantastic trip. That's why I was gone. So from time to time, I may be called away for that stuff, and from time to time, Bolt may be called away for doctor stuff
or other shit. Yeah.
Yeah. But
sometimes,
anyway.
I'm just, it happens. I'm there until midnight. Then I'm like, nah, I'm not talking now anymore. I'm going to bed.
True. Yeah, that can happen too. But
yeah. But it doesn't happen that often though. We're pretty consistent.
Oh, I gotta show this with some context here though too. We went because they showed us around town to all these crazy things. We went to a legitimate like medieval dungeon. There was a fortress up on a hill. There was a star fortress up on a hill. So this is pertinent to people that would be interested in this. There's and the city was named Brno, so BRNO, second biggest city of Czech Republic, and they had an actual medieval star fortress up on a hill. Correction, not medieval. Right. You know what I mean, like Victorian, because it'd be based on like cannons and stuff. Anyone that knows what I'm talking about there, I'm taking the tism there on that one. Specifically, Star Fortress is good for defending with cannons and things like that. And we went to go in the actual dungeon, and they have these mannequins that are set up like they're being tortured or like they're chained up. And it was so surreal to like just be there in that.
We have some fucked up shit here.
It's pretty fucked up. It's pretty fucked up. So there's some pictures of that. And then on top of that, the most fucked up thing, have you heard about the Brno, Czech Republic ossuary?
No.
If you see pictures of this, Google it right now. If you see pictures of this, maybe you've seen it around. I don't actually know the full lore. I forget. They probably said it at some point. but it was either some kind of it was some kind of catacomb or something, but I don't think it's actually a catacomb. I think it's just.
What am I looking? Or what am I googling?
So Brno, Czech Republic, ossuary, Ossuary, and you'll see what I'm talking about there. Some construction worker was working on the road at some point, pretty recent. This was a pretty recent discovery, and he fell through the fucking ground.
These have, you should, that looks insane.
Imagine falling through the ground and seeing that, like you fell on bones, just bone, like a sea of bones in a super dark, clamped up area. I actually took the Insta360 down there, and I have a 360 video of that whole thing. I'm gonna have to edit it out because Rilo doesn't want his face to be shown, so it's gonna take some significant editing to make sure that he's not in it, or I'll just take clips from it. But clean,
awesome.
Yeah, clean. Drewski and I went down there, and just like, I immediately took one picture and I put it up on Twitter. I'm like, yeah, Czech's pretty metal. Like, this is a pretty fucking metal, dude. Just bones.
Yeah, there's a lot of these in Europe. Paris is the biggest one. The catacombs in Paris.
Yeah, so that was.
These are insane.
Yeah, that was genuinely the best. I've done a few of those now, and that was genuinely the best dev trip that I've ever been on. And they usually are like, here's your hotel, be here at this time, welcome to the studio, this is where we make the game, do you want to talk about it? Okay, let's go get dinner. Most of the time the devs don't really go to it or really talk to us at all or really say anything, and they say, there's your hotel, thanks for coming. This time, no, the entire process, we had like the devs with us. It was genuinely a fantastic trip, so I'm always going to remember that, and I'm super glad that I went, and the timing was perfect there. So all good there. I'm back now just in time for all this stuff. And
just to kind of go back to the ossuary thing, you see bones, but those were people. Like, that's
dude, yeah,
all inspiring part. Those are all people.
This whole trip, that's probably the only time I'm going to leave this room, other than maybe TwitchCon this year. So I made sure to every moment that we were doing it, and people are going to see pictures. I'll put up pictures in the edit. Yeah. Every moment that we were like checking out like a really cool old cathedral, or we were checking out like a Soviet era bunker, or we also did a helicopter ride around town.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I was terrified. I was fucking terrified, but I did it anyway. Completely. That was like probably the scariest thing. Different story for another time there. I'm terrified of helicopters, which I people probably get. I'm assuming some people would be able to understand that part of that. And it was like actually one of like the cheap helicopters. It wasn't like a proper, like a real of course it was real and it worked. Nobody died, but like it was like one of the cheaper helicopters. So I'm like, I'm in danger. And we all felt that way, but we all did it anyway. I have a 360 footage of that too, but like genuinely, yeah, it was super cool trip that, glad I went up there, and it was really cool. But that was why I was away. Good to go there, and just in time because we are officially 1 month away. Not to the day, but to the week. Actually, you know what? By the time I post this, it probably will be to the day. June 16th. June 16th for the early access, 19th if you didn't do the early access.
Yep.
So there's a bit of that. I posted my actual drawn out video of this is why I think in certain cases Russia quote unquote OP. Don't know if you got a chance to actually check it out, but we've talked about this, in detail many times already. And it is funny being able to post something like that that's as jarring, quote, maybe again, failure to articulate, failure to possibly use the correct words in the right places here. But there's a lot of people that like hated for some reason or another, really hated that. And it got a bunch of dislikes, but that's the most liked video I've done in years, like in terms of like actually understanding and putting my point out there and stuff like that. So it's a good talking point, and we'll do some more stuff like that later. Yeah, did you get to post your second game there, or our second game?
No. Yeah. So I'm thinking I'm probably gonna release that one like 2 hours before release.
Are you?
Just to premiere it.
Okay.
Just keep it there, because I want to kind of cover all the specializations again, just to recap, because I know people have the armory and everything.
Yeah.
And then give like one deck combination or two for each nation as like a start, so you can kind of start a bit faster. You know, you don't need to think too much yet. And then I'll release that on day of release.
Okay.
I think that'll be a good little, hey, it's happening. Watch this before it's live, you know, in 2 hours. That kind of stuff.
I'm prepping some significant like tutorial videos and like how-to videos. I already have. I'm looking at the script, which I have. If I had to guess, this is a solid 10-minute video here based off of just the amount of words on understanding of seed runs and how to do them in Broken Arrow. Specifically, just like seed runs, the planes that do them, the missiles that do them, how to, when to, things like that.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably do some other stuff like that with like proper tank pushes, use of infantry, use of recon, all that stuff as we lead up to it. So yeah, something else that happened too, Pakistan, the Pakistan and India stuff was going off. We missed a lot. There's actually, we almost had a world war go off multiple times, but like that was definitely an interesting topic. I think we'll, just in the sense of things, I think we'll leave that for another day. But it is interesting to have. Were you tracking that stuff at all?
The
Pakistan India confrontation.
Yeah, I tracked it a bit. Yeah.
So the fact
that it went up a little bit, but it was mainly just small scale retaliations, and then just suddenly they had a ceasefire.
Well, the planes.
Yeah.
Over 120 planes fighting each other, and Rafales were. I actually don't know how you. Is it Rafales?
I don't know.
Rafales?
I didn't read into all that. I don't know those numbers, but
so
it might be overblown to be honest.
No, this is fact. This is factual. If you go, you check it out. India had several planes shot down. I believe the last number was 3. It could be up to 5. Some of which were Rafales. And the thing there was interesting topic was because India have JF-17s. Interestingly enough, for did I say that right? No, Pakistan has JF-17s, which is why Jack wanted to add Pakistan to his mod for Wargame Red Dragon, because it's actually really interesting that Pakistan has U.S. equipment as well as Chinese equipment. So they had the JF-17s that were shooting PL-15s, which are the super long range, even beyond visual. I actually don't know if these are beyond visual range or whatever. Beyond you can't see them. It's over the horizon stuff. Yeah. And India did not. So I don't know if they were sending the Rafales forward to like try and jam or something. It seems like that was possible. And then the PL-15s could just have that reach to go and get them. But there was no actual border crossing. They were still all over their territory. From the looks of it, I'm no complete expert, but from what I was seeing from like OSINT Defender and a bunch of the general OSINT guys that I follow on Twitter, and Drewski and I were actually talking about this pretty significantly while we were waiting at the airports and whatnot about this situation. And it's just range is so powerful. To just range of those air-to-air missiles is just so powerful.
They probably don't even hit until before they land.
What do you mean?
I mean, with those ranges, I just imagine they just fire the missile and just go back to base or land, and then it hits, you know?
Oh, yeah. And then depending on the situation, if you're being shot at, you probably have no idea that it was coming.
Yeah.
So there's some cool stuff. We also have the Victory Day stuff going on for Russia, but generally speaking, is about the same, which is why the reason I brought that up is you just sent me that gas. What's going on with that gas?
Yeah, Bacon sent me this one because on the Broken Arrow Discord, they discussed it yesterday. And, I mean, they didn't full on discuss it with the devs themselves, but they do have kind of a habit of trying to use new units or fresh units that are demonstrated at events.
For sure.
And, I mean, we might see some more modified gases, modified trucks, of which we already have a lot, but...
Actually, that was already in the game before the last test.
I think this one was, right? I remember something
that was VDV, I think.
But yeah, it has the autocannon, what is that, ATGMs, smoke dispensers. Oh yeah, no, Bacon linked it to me. It's a Typhoon VDV with Cornets, apparently.
Typhoon VDV. I'm being stubborn here. I'm looking through the list on the Armory.
Typhoon armored fighting vehicle. And then just has
Why
some
aren't I
coordinates and an
seeing?
autocannon.
I'm dumb. Okay, Typhoon. Where are you?
Typhoon K?
There it is. Yeah, Typhoon VDV, and you can put the MA42 autocannon up top, which I think is the
Yeah,
same
that's
one that you
not
get
them.
on like a BMD2.
I think so. It looks the same, yeah.
And what we're looking at is, what are those coordinates up there?
Someone did say coordinates, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a nice little addition there, especially if we're getting like
I
the
think
JLTVs and stuff later.
Yeah, exactly. I think motorized combat in Broken Arrow just looks cool and it's actually useful as well.
Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that we had you lead the conversation a bit more today, and you had some
Yep.
stuff that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah. So on the Steel Balalaika Studio Patreon, linked down below if you do that.
For sure. Make sure you guys go follow that.
They posted that, well, we're getting very close to the release, but they posted that they're happy to answer a popular question, which is what will happen to the Patreon after the release, etc. But, and I quote, they said, as I have said many times before, the release of Broken Arrow is not the end point of our project, end quote, because we do know that they're going to release more nations, they're probably going to release more maps, more single-player content, etc. But then it continues, it is a necessary and long-awaited stage, unleashing our hands and allowing us to balance the game more accurately based on mass statistics. Not only personal experience, as well as expanding the available set of countries, maps, regions, armies, camouflage, single and multiplayer scenarios, game modes. So I don't know what they mean with that, but that could be maybe some co-op, or defensive, offensive game modes. I don't know.
A lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, campaigns, skirmishes, and most interestingly, gameplay mechanics and features such as replay mode, which is going to be great. Clan trees, so we're going to get some clans going. And cyber sports events, so it's going to be Broken Arrow esports, as well as a long list of optional mechanics depending on the success and preferences of our game's audience. So, yeah, I think they're really going to be hands-on in the first phase after release, because a lot of things might pop up that just break the game, using a specific unit in a certain way just downright just crashes the game or something. They might have the server issues sorted this time after the last beta test. But yeah, I think the mass statistics is going to really, really help the game, but the amount of things they're listing as like future content is quite cool. Just the maps, countries, and just single player and multiplayer scenarios and modes, campaigns and shit. So that's going to be really cool. And they do mention that Patreon will remain the most convenient tool for working with the interested and active part of the audience. But of course, on their Discord, which is obviously free, you also have a lot of voices. Well, you also have a voice, so you can always join the discussions there. If you think a certain unit is underpowered, overpowered, or just could be in the game, they are open and listening to that, so that's kind of nice. Well, yeah, I kind of wanted to link that post. So we were discussing with Bacon as well. We know the release date, but what do you think about the first kind of couple days after release? What do you imagine would happen compared to the previous beta? Because now it's going to be potentially hundreds of thousands of people playing. Because last time we had, what, 75K at the peak?
And I'm actually not sure.
They opened more and more slots. I remember 50K was like the first day of people that just signed up to play it. And then they opened up the floodgates and we were at like 70, 80K or something.
So I'm not sure where this can go. This seems very weird. I opened up Steam charts just to see what it said about Broken Arrow, and it currently says that the current players are 6,000, which is not true. That's not true. So I don't actually know what's going on there.
Maybe they're doing a test right now.
There's no way it's 6,000 people.
Yeah. No, like bots,
Oh yeah, maybe.
They got ChatGPT playing.
Yeah, so there's nothing Yeah, there could be some NDA thing that we just weren't invited to, and people did a good job of keeping it under wraps. There's always that. There's always that. Something tells me that there isn't any of that going on at the moment, though, and it definitely sure shit isn't 6,000 people. So I actually don't know how many people it jumped up to, but what I do know is that it was at some point number 27 on the wish lists for Steam. The entirety of Steam.
That is insane, actually.
It was over Marathon.
God damn.
It was, and before the now, granted,
actually, that is
yes,
insane.
it was the test. People have now played Marathon, including myself. I've played like 100 hours or something like that. So correction, no, I didn't hit that yet. I'm thinking of a different game. Can't talk about yet. I did have over 40 hours of Marathon. That they did it wrong. They did it wrong. So this was before people. So I don't know what the numbers are for Marathon now, but this was before people got to see the gameplay of Marathon, and now it's a bit in a stupor right now. Hopefully they break it out, because I do think it's an interesting game. I just think they did it wrong. That's for another video for actually a whole other channel on that subject. But you can't deny, like, that was one of the most anticipated games in the world. People really wanted to know what was going on with Marathon, and while that was happening, Broken Arrow was over it on the wish lists on Steam. So what I am, this can go a couple different routes, and I'm going to knock on wood here. We've seen when things are this popular, for whatever reason, which there's a bevy of reasons, whether it be the competition, whether it be people trolling, whether it be disgruntled devs that maybe left the group years ago that nobody actually knows about but the dev group themselves, or it could just be because people are protesting the war in Ukraine, and this amplifies, the military power, quote unquote, of Russia. So they want to go and DDoS the specifically login servers or some kind of intro servers to Broken Arrow, and then we have a significant issue with being able to gain access to the game. That's one potential. Why am I blanking on this? Shoot. There's a oh my god, there's a system that you can put in place to help with that. Cloudflare. You can do Cloudflare in order to help with that, but then that still slows people down, puts people in queues. It still gives them errors if they don't code it correctly, if they don't set it up correctly, which can lead to bad reviews, lots of things to be able to actually get into the game on day one. So we'll see what that ends up looking like if it's that many people. That's only part one. That's just getting into the game. Part two, how can their server infrastructure handle that amount of people? I think it is genuinely crazy to not have an open beta of some kind before release for this, because it just hasn't gone well in the past.
I think maybe okay, so here's my
sorry. Closed beta in a sense that if you've bought the game, you can play. Not open beta, not everybody on Steam, but if you've bought the game, you can play.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So that
they are doing that like pre-release access if you pre-purchase. I think that might be their way to kind of
it's 3 days.
Prime up the servers.
It definitely is. Actually, you know what it is? You know what it is? It's slowly opening the floodgates. That's what a lot of games have been doing lately, because your most anxious fans will of course be there at the beginning, but it depends how many people that is. So you are going to have that influx, of course, once the door does open, but it's not going to be everybody. So there's actually an argument there to having a paywall for something as little as that, because it reduces the stress on the actual, specifically like the login servers and things like that. So genuinely good idea that they did that. Bit of a test there. But if there's something significantly wrong, what are they going to actually fix in those 3 days? Can they add more servers? Hopefully. I'm assuming they're going to be able to afford them.
They did that pretty quick last time as well.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're going to be able to afford them. But what I'm specifically talking about is if it is some kind of pipeline of that information, of that networking issue, are they going to be able to identify it, diagnose it, and actually act on it in 3 days? Fuck no, they're not. And most likely, no, they're not. If it's significant, but maybe nothing happens. Maybe they're good. Again, I just think it's crazy to not give it like a week. Give us 3 days, a week ahead of time. And so maybe they'll end up doing that. Maybe. Not the end of the world.
It's releasing on the 16th, correct?
Early access 16th, normal access 19th.
Right. I mean, that is during the week. Yeah, I guess our hypothesis is correct. It's basically kind of a limited stress test to see if things work in general.
Well, in that case,
and then hopefully the floodgates. Yeah.
Yeah, in that case, it very genuinely is. That is just it's softening the blow, is what that is.
I think a lot of people will pre-purchase it.
Oh, hell of a lot of people will.
They might have thousands. They might have tens of thousands already playing on the first day.
Yeah, because it is 60, right? And everybody's used to paying 60. So is it 60 for the early access, or is it 60 for the 90 for the 19th?
Let me check the euro prices.
Oh, it's gonna be different.
It says advanced access $58.99, so $60. Yeah.
Yeah, so 64 the advanced access. Yeah, a lot of people are gonna do that. A lot of people are gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean that's a good price in my opinion for a game.
Yep. And well, you know what? I'm curious if they reset us all.
Your account?
Yeah.
I hope they do. I kind of want to start fresh.
I would like to as well.
I'm gonna make a lobby called No Noobs, like the first minute.
Yeah.
There's no noobs. No, they'll probably reset. It'll probably you might have to make a new account even. One thing I was wondering, the servers are not. They're hosted by them, right? It's not peer to peer. Like. I remember.
I don't know.
I don't know how that infrastructure is built. So let's say you have 10 people. One of them is very laggy. I remember it didn't affect the main game, but you did have rubber banding, but not as much slow motion like Wargame. I just don't know how that's gonna go when everyone plays all at the same time. But it might be good. It just kicks them out and they can rejoin later, which is nice. It doesn't just keep them in there.
Right.
If they lag too much,
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing. I also wonder how many people will leave a match because they just don't know what they're doing and then notice that they can't rejoin a new match yet. I don't know if
it's
they're
just
going to keep that mechanic in there still.
They could extend it too, because it was just 2 minutes before.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to even keep it in there for the first couple weeks. I kind of hope they do add, like just 2 minutes. I think it's fine. But I remember in the first open beta, it was just a full match almost. Unless like the majority left.
Right. There were some issues with the most recent early act, the press test, that people were leaving. Yeah. People were crashing and then coming back. Actually, I had this happen to me. I crashed. I came back and only the units that were being called in since I had joined would show up. Every single other unit that was called in before I had come back, I had relogged, were invisible and didn't exist for me. So hopefully that's fixed. Hopefully that's the thing. So because one thing we know for sure is that it was not a bug-free experience, and these are game ruining bugs. And actually, with the game I just posted yesterday, Vulcan crashed, and when he came back, it didn't allow him to reconnect. So there's that thing can happen. However, there is, if your teammate does leave for whatever reason, whether it's good or bad, you do get increased rate of points going to your stash, whatever you want to call it, to your wallet, to be able to spend on more units and things like that. So there is a bit of better stuff with that. So we're good to go there. I am curious for a couple other things too. I mean, we do have the cheater issue, and they said that they added anti-cheat. For those that don't know, adding anti-cheat to a early test, especially when you're not completely sure when the game is going to release. In this case, I'm remembering this correctly, right? This was November the last time the public got to play, right?
Yeah.
So that was
Yep.
several months. So, and they didn't actually know exactly when. So this was several months. So if they put anti-cheat, whatever for whatever system they had in place, even if it is something that's already third party, if it was something like a battle eye or an easy anti-cheat or something like that, and they wanted to put it on the game, there's still some, let's say, windows that would pop up that no, you know what? No, we'll call them doors. We'll call them doors. There's locked doors that would show up, and the longer that people want to create cheats for these games, have to whittle down a key, the easier it is for them to then gain access when the game does release. So that's why you just don't put any anti-cheat, and you also don't say what anti-cheat system you're going to be using, whether it be proprietary or a specific. You don't say whether you're going to use at least with as much access as possible. Exactly. You want to keep them guessing. You don't want them to know for sure, because that just leaves them more time to actually develop and have these cheats working and make them that much worse for the actual release. Now that's being said, being the Tarkov person that I am, I have heard many, many, many horror stories of people from these third party anti-cheat systems going to the highest bidder, selling information to the highest bidder of access and ways through certain builds and things like that. So can something be possible even with that on day one? Absolutely. That would be really bad. Is it going to reach very far? Potentially not. The thing that makes me the least worried, not that I'm not worried at all, just the thing that makes me the least, what's the right word here? It's something that makes me tolerate it a little bit more, is the fact that it is going to be so fucking obvious when you are. Most people, it's so fucking obvious. You're going to have too many units, you're going to have too many kills, you're going to have or too many deaths, and be like, that guy's interesting, right click, report. Or actually, no, it's up at the top. You can see the list of names, right click, report. Very, very easy, and these guys are very quick to be able to ban people. And for the people that are obvious, I'm sure there's going to be some system, whether it be on the Discord or something. In our cases, we can DM them directly, be like, here's a clip. Obviously, this person's cheating.
Yeah.
Boop, they're gone. That was the case last time. I'm assuming it's going to be the case this time. So that's to skirt that topic, or not skirt it. That's the wrong word. To cover that topic in general. Unless you have something else that you wanted to bring up on the anti-cheat side of things or the cheater side of things.
I never had any cheater in my matches. I got lucky, I think.
You got
but
very
I also
lucky.
Didn't really
I had
play.
several.
Yeah, I saw some clips with just a constant like laser beam of rockets or ATGMs and whatnot. I don't know how they're gonna implement that. Like, if they just see units acting weird, if they're gonna be a report system, or just like BattleNet kind of thing.
There's lots of things they can do.
BattleEye kind of thing.
Yeah, there's lots of things you can do. There's
or
lots
all of them.
Yeah, because these are all just ones and zeros. Yeah. At the end of the day, every single thing here, these are all ones and zeros. So if there's a 1 and a 0 that's not supposed to be where a 1 and a 0 is, then that's pretty easy to understand. That shouldn't be there. And then also there's things that you can take into account for some third-party stuff and some anti-cheat systems out there that 99.99999% of players have 1s and 0s act this way. And this player's 1s and 0s aren't acting that way. Let's check that guy out. Let's just put a flag on that guy and go see, oh, he's got unlimited units. Boop, you're gone. So yeah, there's other things that can do that.
Also with the replay is the way replay works in games like Wargame, Warno, Steel Division, all of these, it's just XYZ coordinates of units and them either dying or not dying.
Say that one more time.
I think from the replay, from the data, they might even just find it,
Yeah. Say that one more time, though. I got distracted by a DM. There was something for
So with the replay being added to the game, so the replay mode, I think that will actually be one of the ways they test if someone is cheating.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It just won't be in at launch.
Because, it's a full log of every unit, where they are, what they're doing, which is all visual, and which unit is dying at whatever moment. I think if someone is calling out 25 A10s at the same time, that's
I mean, hell, even 5, because all you can have is 4.
Even 5, yeah.
Should be able to. It
They
should be
might do
pretty
subtle
simple.
things at first, or they might just do blatant cheats at first if someone does cheat, but they might become more and more subtle, but the replay would, I think, fix a lot of it.
Yeah.
What you got distracted from, huh?
That's the thing I can't talk about. Is a dev message about something that we're gonna do this weekend. Yeah, unfortunately there's a lot of that's going on right now with me. But I saw that though. I got a little notification. For those that don't see our DMs, he just says "bussy."
Nope.
You've seen that, right? Is that you that shared that? There's like the Spanish bus mascot or something. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's like dude, look up. I think it's Spanish. Look up Spanish bus mascot, and you'll never guess what they named him.
La Bussy. Oh yeah.
Never fucking guess what they named him.
Yeah. That's my man right there.
And they've got like a song and dance with him and stuff.
Why does he look like that, bro?
It's because he's Bussy. It's Bussy, man. What you mean?
Jesus.
It's Bussy. Oh my god. All right, going off topic here.
Yep.
Oh, well, speaking of going off topic, actually, I did have that with the devs from Madfinger. I did bring up your question of would you rather fight Darth Vader without the Force or General Grievous in a fist fight?
In a fist fight?
Yeah, I brought that up at the Madfinger studio, and they're like, there was a couple of people, like it was a Q&A, like we had a couple of couches and we were like talking to the room of devs, and I said that, and at least two different people were like, Grievous, obviously. Like you'd rather, like they were fighting Grievous, and they were like Grievous, obviously. I'm like,
I'd rather die a terrible, painful death than just get a clean cut from Anakin Skywalker, bro?
Yeah, so I think we didn't have the conversation with it, but I think it's because it's what I brought up. Because it's still the lightsaber, and he's gonna get you.
Oh yeah,
he's gonna get you.
No, there's no chance. There's no chance whatsoever.
There's without having the conversation with them, I did find it interesting that we said Vader, obviously because it's a clean death, but both of them said Grievous. I was like, really? Okay, we'll need to talk about that later. We never talked about it later. I didn't get to talk about it with them, but I was like, interesting. Also, I don't know if they're as big a nerds as we are in terms of actually thinking it through, because I feel like that the obvious choice is Vader. Anyway, so you wanted to bring up this post here, and it mentions a lot of features. You already brought up the replay mode. What else do you think we can dive into with this list? Because this is a pretty significant and really interesting, hype list.
I kind of was discussing player retention in these kinds of games. I really, really hope they focus a lot on the single player aspect of the game. Like, I'm the type of person that would buy a Call of Duty game, play the campaign first, and then dive into multiplayer. Also, with RTS games, I would just play the campaign first and then dive into there.
Are you getting the impression that they're not? Because I'm getting the impression they absolutely will be. They're going to be focusing on it.
They had those missions in the game. No voice acting, which is okay.
They said they're coming. They said they got it ready to go. It just wasn't in that build.
Yeah. So I'm really hoping for that. I'm not expecting world and conflict level, like cutscenes and all that. Absolutely not.
Those cutscenes were dope.
Studio for that. I don't think they will do that, but I'm just hoping for like a in-depth kind of like this campaign that really just immerses you into the, well, quote unquote lore of Broken Arrow. It's not really a lore, but just to kind of get you, kind of grab you and hold you there, Because if I'm playing a couple multiplayer matches, I just want to take a break and just listen to AI tell me what's going in the match. So I really hope they're going to focus on that, because I feel like in a game that is quite difficult for people that have never touched an RTS, you still want to have them enjoy the game and stay on the game as active players.
Right.
That's why I'm also hoping there's going to be a community making a lot of scenarios and stuff. I know Jack is probably going to mod the crap out of the game.
Oh yeah.
And I'm actually taking it upon myself to use all the world and conflict cutscenes and audio files and all that, and just rebuild the missions in Broken Arrow. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Because you got absolutely everything you need.
There was a live stream not too long ago where they played this Special Forces mission, and they did not post it on the Slytherin Discord or the YouTube. So I cannot find it. I was gonna say their cutscenes were pretty fucking good. Like there were some solid cuts. Now it wasn't like a full story. Like you mean, I get you. I get exactly what you mean from World in Conflict, because that was like a legit story.
Yeah, I ain't got that priest, just singing a song on the radio in the broken down skyscraper, but
and that tanker crew, or that Bradley crew, tanker crew that you follow with the US.
The tanker crew getting nuked. I'm like shedding a tear over here.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, goddamn, bro. Game from fucking 2003 or 2007.
I played like a year ago again. Yeah. So yeah, no, I think it'll be good. I have pretty good hopes. I just think it's a very important aspect of the game, so I hope it's not gonna be overlooked even after launch. Well, they're saying they're gonna focus on it.
Bro, well, here's the thing. They can do little updates to the campaign if they want.
Yeah.
But do you not think that the scenario editor and the mod support wouldn't just allow the community to just kind of carry that side of things?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
And then they wouldn't need to worry about
how moddable they will be.
It's fully. Well, I mean, can't say that. We'll see what's going on with the map side of things.
There's no map editor, but there's scenario editor. There's, it's Unity script, so you can just make all events happen in whatever order you want. Import your own video and audio. So yeah, there's a lot of it.
Yeah. So we'll see what you're right. We'll see what ends up happening there. But on the me versus a machine side of things, whether it's with or without friends, honestly, I'm really not worried about it. I think it's going to be pretty extensive, and I think the mods are going to be really cool. We specifically know lots of people that are already, head deep in, getting into the files and modding. Not necessarily the files, because the game's not out yet, but they're getting into it in terms of like planning how they want to set this up. Like this is, for the 40K mod, this is this faction, this is that faction, this is this, codex, so this is that codex, and stuff like that. So yeah, so it'll be really cool. Of this list, though, I'm just kind of like I'm just kind of curious if they are going to add more maps,
right,
that are variations, I guess, because there's, as we saw with the most recent test, we saw some changes to some of those maps. I'd like to take what we got and just play it a little differently. You know what I mean? So we've got these maps that play this very specific way with these very specific spawns and these very specific points and things like that. I would just like to go into a map, see the map, understand the map, the layout of the map, but just be able to play it a little differently. Because what's going to end up happening is you go to a map, it's a certain game mode, which they do talk about the game modes. We'll talk about that in a second. You're gonna play the same fucking way. You're gonna have a favorite deck. You're gonna have the other team, depending on the nations, they're gonna have their favorite decks. Eventually, there's just going to be a thing that you do on that map that works, and you just do it a lot. And then when it doesn't work and you fail, or if it doesn't work and you don't do well in the game, then it makes you want to go and do the thing that you did a million times already. We know that by heart because of Wargame. Every fucking map, which there were a bunch, there's plenty of maps in Wargame. Every fucking map, you just figure out there's a thing that you do. The infantry goes there, the tanks go there, helicopter rush there. Congratulations, there's no more nuance to the game. There's nothing else going on there. However, if you go into a map, or if they set it up so that the objectives are a bit different, the spawns are a bit different, maybe the map's turned. There was some of that happened in Wargame 2 that added a little bit of nuance to it. It was a little bit interesting. I think it would be cool. So hopefully they end up doing that. First off, modes. How long is that going to take? Yeah, how long is that? How long is it going to take before we see something that's different? Because this has been the only mode. I have heard nothing about other? Would it be purely just conquest, just capture instead of capture and kill the way it is now, or is it going to be purely just kill instead of capture instead of capture and kill like it is now? Is there going to be an economy game mode? Something like that?
Yeah, the economy mode.
Yeah,
that was terrible. I remember in Steel Division, there was this game mode where one team would be entrenched already, and the other team would try to push them out. So you would have an advantage as a defender because you have the territory, right?
Yeah.
But the attacker would have more income, but they have a time limit. They need to take... I mean, it's perfectly doable in this game too. So in phase A or whatever, you would need to take at least 2 conquest points in order to go to phase 2. Otherwise, you lose. And then, so that could be cool. I'm like, that fully puts one person on the defense or one team on the defense, other one on fully offense. I think that does add something new, and people did play it for a bit, but people like eventually just still moved to just regular conquest.
Yeah. But having played those games, there is the fact that you get fortifications and you get gun emplacements, which make it way different.
True.
That for sure makes it way different in terms of attack and defend. Now, what they could do is my idea, where they morph it into like Hell Let Loose, where if you take, or like Conquest, like in Battlefield, where if you take, there's only 2 points on the entire map. I would really fucking love to see that. Multiplayer game mode where there's only 2 points on the entire map, 5v5. Same, everything else is the same, but there's 2 points at some point in the map. Maybe it can even be attack and defend, and the one that's attacking, you have to go further, defending, you have to go closer. But once you take those, it either ends the game. So if you are attacking and you take those points, it ends the game. If you are defending,
you take those.
You take those. And it moves. Oh, correction. No. Wait, hold on. We take those. No, so correction. If you are attacking, like in Hell Let Loose, I misrepresented this. If you're attacking, like in Hell Let Loose, you take those points, and then it adds, and then it actually, I did the entire thing backwards. If you are attacking, the points are close to you. If you are defending, the points are far away from you.
Yeah.
Initially, from the beginning, at the very beginning. As an attacker, if you take those, then you get the next one, which is closer to the defender. You get the next one. If you take those, you get the next one that's closer to the defender. And then it gets all the way back to the back line of the defender. And if you take those, you win the game. Like, that's perfectly even in terms of gameplay, because you do that in Hell Let Loose. It's just based off distances, and you just play it a little differently. And it forces you to fucking work as a team. It doesn't spread people out too much. It's they're balancing this game to have it be threes. Is that I forget what Felix said. Are they balancing it based off of 3 decks versus another 3 decks, or is it all 5? If it's all 5, that's fucking nuts. I think it's
gonna be
3. I think.
I don't remember what he said about that part, to be honest.
It's either 3 or 5. He had this conversation with how they are balancing the game. It's not based off of one. There is no deck that you can make in the game that is balanced to fight another deck. There's just some decks that are better suited than others. So there is no way that 1v1s are ever going to actually be balanced, because it's too much of a coin toss. So then they didn't want that, because it was very similar to Wargame in that respect. If you went airborne, the other person went armored, it's going to be a fucking coin toss. It just doesn't.
Any game like this, if you want it to be competitive, you would both have to play with the exact same deck, with the exact same amount of units and type of modifications to these decks.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not competitive. Competitive would mean you have the same exact tool set to play, and it comes down to skill. The maps would have to be mirrored like old RTS maps.
Or
so it doesn't really work. You could do 2v2s with, you can like in. I've never played League of Legends, by the way, but you can ban certain characters by voting. I was
about to bring that up. Yep, I was about to bring that up because somebody commented on one of our previous pods saying something similar. So you finish your thought there.
Yeah, so you could set up tournaments like 2v2. We did this with Warno and also Wargame. You set up your first options or your first choices of decks, and then both teams can vote out one or the other player's decks. And then you get a second, you get a second group of decks you can adjust as well. And then if everyone agrees, you do the match.
Yep.
And then the map is already predetermined. But yeah, I mean, where you spawn on which map already has an advantage, so it's difficult to do, but I think 1v1s would never... Well, I'm not saying never, but it's very hard to do competitively. You can, but it's very difficult. You would just have to try to go for the most balanced specialization combo. Or go for the most insane air and just try to win in the first 5 minutes, because after that you're kind of done. Or you just do like 3v3, 2v2 kind of tournaments. 5v5 tournaments will be cool as well.
But we have the tools. We have the tools. There's going to be the scenario editor. So tied into the scenario editor, there's going to be ways to do it. You brought it up yourself already, but there's even some more adaptations that you can do to that with the vote out a character and things like that. But it's also almost like a buy system. So you can vote certain things out, but at the same time, there's a limit to other things. So, for instance, only 2 people can go airborne. Only 2 people can have a Russian airborne deck. Only 2 people can have a Russian armored deck. Only 2 people can have a USSF deck of the 5. Like, there's also things like that. So we have the technology. There's like, we can do it. There's ways around it. It just sure shit isn't what it is now. It's just not what it is now for sure. So yeah, I forget what FLX said, but it is not balanced to 1v1s, and the base game is 5v5s. Something else that came up, or people that clearly don't watch my content and clearly haven't listened to, most of the stuff that I talk about or most of the stuff that I showcase, are pointing out the fact that my ELO is like 1800 or something like that. So they say I suck. Now, what those people are missing are the fact that 90% of my games are solo. And not just solo like going into a team and, playing. I mean solo like nobody on Discord. I just go and find the most random match that I can find. Just get me into the game as soon as possible. And the reason that I do that is because you get to understand what works really fucking well, because I get to see what actually carries games. So I felt like that's amplified my ability to really understand what the best units are, because if I can do it alone against, obviously nothing is going to work against 5 players, but hell, there's been times where I've held back 3 players in the air because I've used certain units with certain weapons and things like that. So that was something that was brought up before. If we haven't had the time for people to realize that kind of nuance, then we're going to need more time to actually figure out what these strategies actually mean, what the balance actually is. Because like the core root of everything that I was talking about before is it genuinely might be that the US is more overpowered than Russia because of specifically those stealth bombers. But if people don't go into these games actually realizing that and actually doing that and actually understanding what is the most effective way of doing that, of actually holding them back, we're making no progress. You don't actually understand what the actual thing is. So we do need more time to actually figure out the balance of things. So the reason why I'm bringing this up entirely in the first place is part of this list here is the balancing. It's good that they're talking about it, but it's almost like they shouldn't move too soon on most things, because then you end up fucking it up. You do genuinely end up fucking it up. One thing to save that, which I really like to see, is its statistics. However, those statistics are based off of most people's common knowledge of the game, most people's common understanding of the units as they currently are in the game. And if there's fundamentals out there, like people don't understand that it's extremely effective to use those stealth planes, not as ASFs, but as bombers. If that's out of most people's brains, then I don't know if that's necessarily like a critical issue. It's just it's an argument for saying statistically, using statistics to balance is not necessarily what you want at this point, because the information isn't necessarily out there that those weapons are strong in that way. Now, it could be completely based off of what there's so many game devs I have in my brain now. It's with in terms of the names of the studios and stuff. Who is Steel Ball Leica? It could be strictly based off of what Steel Ball Leica, FLX, or anybody else that has the decision is in charge of decision making for the balance of the game. They could just say, "Fuck it, we're gonna make sure that the Pac FA, I keep calling it the Pac FA, we're gonna make sure that the Su-57 can carry 4 of these seed missiles, which weren't designed to fit in the bay in the first place, and also doesn't exist. Yeah. We're just gonna allow that to happen. So if they're able to do stuff like that, then it also means that they could just say, "Fuck it, we'll let the other stuff happen too." It's still just, it's weird. Hopefully, I'm making some sense, even to you, just at least you, Bolt, here. But what I'm trying to say is, there's not enough actual understanding of the current state of the game to balance soon enough, but there are some things that should be addressed.
Yeah, I
Does
think
that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Jack also posted the biggest YouTube comment I've seen in a long time. I think in one of your videos, or on Steel Balalaika's or Broken Arrow's own YouTube channel, where he explained that yes, in theory, all these things do fit on this one Russian plane, but in practice, it was never used. It's not even practically. It's technically possible, but practically not.
Because of the sensors and whatnot associated with the weapon systems, is that what he said?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And it was also not even like they don't even get trained in it. Some of these weapons have never been used on these planes. They have been, demonstrated as capable of being used on these planes. So I think there can be some tinkering, with just using some common sense to make some rough balancing. But I think at this point they're just gonna see what the big statistics when they come in. But yeah, we need to. Those are also have to be taken with a pinch of salt, I guess.
No, for sure. I just want to make sure that we don't move too fast. It's weird that I'm the one asking for this when I'm the one that just made a video talking about the balance. But hopefully I did a good enough job explaining that I don't want to be saying the things that I'm saying because I know it sounds bad. But truly, I just think that it's going to skew the actual reality of the actual balance of the game if you're going and looking at things like that when most players don't understand what works and what doesn't in the first place. So statistics are good if for some reason a lot of people are crashing on this map. And statistically they're seeing it's that map in particular. Okay, take that map out of the rotation. Statistically speaking, a lot of people are winning as the United States. Let's nerf the US. Fuck no. So that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Statistically speaking, a lot of people are getting kills with the B2. Yeah, it's a cool fucking unit. Doesn't mean you nerf it. So like there's ways to do those are like stress points. Those are like extremes, really. But it's like that's my point basically is like there's certain things that hopefully they can address sooner rather than later, and there's things that you genuinely need some more time so that the player base, if you're taking in those larger pools of data, you give it time for them to actually understand what they're doing and what's going on and let it kind of settle. Let the balance kind of settle. So hopefully that's going to be a thing. All right. Was there anything else from this list that you wanted to bring up that you're super excited for?
Honestly, I want to see new countries, dude. Like, I know it's not going to happen 100%. For quite some time, I think. But having some non-Western, Russian or non-Western units in there is going to be so cool. Like, China has so many unique units. I mean, France also does, Germany does, UK does, Scandinavia does. So I think they can do so much with this game. So I just hope it does well in the first couple phases. And as you said, they don't go overboard with counterbalancing and balancing to like go back and forth between this is now underpowered, this is now overpowered again, and just see what the audience thinks. I mean, if it's like 51% America better versus 49 Russia, honestly, just fucking leave that shit. Don't even touch it.
Yeah.
You might then skew it accidentally to like 75% Russia or whatever by just changing a couple zeros and ones.
Or just if you keep it, if you just leave it.
Yeah.
Just give us some time.
Honestly, just leave it. No, I'm mostly interested in new nations and the single player stuff. That's for me definitely the big
Who first for nation?
The big excitements.
Who first for a nation?
I want to see China.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see China. I think that would add basically only unique units.
I mean, they do have
they have a lot of Russian stuff.
Yeah,
as well.
granted, or copies.
Or copies, yeah. But what did they confirm again? Was it? I don't remember if they confirmed a country. They did confirm a list of countries that they would.
Well, there's Eastern European countries that are obvious because they're already in like the tutorial and stuff like that.
But they will definitely focus on the big nations first, right?
Yeah, I think the only thing that they've
UK.
Yeah, I think the only thing that they've confirmed is the fact that there will be more specializations coming for the two nations that are already in the game.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. In terms of timing, absolutely no idea. I mean, there's Leopard 2s, there's Polish units, there's stuff like that that's in the current game. I mean,
here it is.
With the tutorial and stuff.
I'm literally ChatGPTing right now. But the next country planned to be added for Broken Arrow is China, according to discussions from the game's community and developer communications.
Yeah, so that's a problem there. So through my work with the ARGs, with Escape from Tarkov, I've found that ChatGPT is very good at finding you an answer. It doesn't mean it's the answer.
Anything.
It doesn't. Yeah.
There's no official release date.
Yeah. So with strictly that verbiage right there, it said based off of discussions in the community and the developers.
And some developer communication, but they've listed also. Let me see. Hinted at inclusion of other nations. Yeah. Well, Germany, UK, and France. Felix told us about this as well.
There's nothing confirmed. If there was something confirmed, it would have started with here's the trailer. Or this is the thing where they confirmed so and so. That's the way the chat.
Germany, France, UK, 100% will probably be added eventually. Yeah. If the game does well and it stays active, they'll definitely add those.
Yeah. What do you think about naval?
Honestly, I think it can be really cool. Felix did tell us it's going to be more a support role, right? Like that demo mission in the earliest beta.
Well, they said they might not even add it to multiplayer.
Yeah, probably not. It'll probably not be in there. Maybe it'll just be there off map. You can just admire it. Maybe call in planes from it or something, or tomahawks. I don't know. For like 1,000 points, call a couple tomahawks. That could be really easily done to add another layer to the game, but adding naval just adds so many different mechanics that they would then have to take care of. But naval v naval, I don't think would happen. They would be more supportive.
Right. I've thought of ways that they can make it work, but on top of that, it's obvious that there is a United States Navy spec coming.
Mm.
We don't have Navy SEALs. We don't have the Growler. We don't have the JLTV. And we don't have most of the weapons that are associated with the Marines in general. Sure, there's a lot of the ground stuff there, but there's a lot of stuff that's associated with the JLTV, a lot of stuff that's associated with the Navy in particular that's not here. It's just not. And it's been shown off already, too. Granted, it's actually already been shown off already. On top of the fact that it's obvious that the single player is going to have naval because we've done those missions and they have it. So it's interesting where that's going to play into things. My thought with it is it's almost like it could be like a really interesting way to defend your spawn. So they could set it up in a way that you have this deep water, this blue water area around one spawn of the map and the other on the opposing end, where these ships don't necessarily engage each other. Maybe they can. Maybe it is something that can be engaged, but it's not like in Wargame Red Dragon where it's just the guns are going off on each other. But it is something that you can spend money on to have those platforms that will be able to, for instance, be for your helicopters, or if they do add like an aircraft carrier for your aircraft to then go back and resupply without calling it out. So it's like got like a 200,000 supply or something like that. And it's consistent AA as well as artillery because they can shoot tomahawks, they can shoot missiles. Some of them Hellfires in those cases and stuff like that too.
That could be cool, yeah.
And they can intercept. They have SM6, they have SM2 for anti-air. They have all that stuff for being able to intercept. So I think that there is a way for it to make complete sense and help you in the current state of the game. So it's not like you have a boat that you can send across the coast and have it fuck up stuff along the coastline. But if they get so far through the map and they get so close to your spawn, and you had a deck that has this, you now have defenses that are more than just your units that you have on the map, and it's actually like proper support. So I think that was a cool way that they could do it. Just my 2 cents. But then again, give me your impression on that, because obviously it's not like those are going to be going and capturing any points. They're strictly a support unit in the back line.
That's a cool idea. I like that idea. That's a pretty good one. That kind of gives you some form of base off map to kind of play with as well. It just adds another layer to the game, if anything.
Which I think is cool. Just, I like the layers. Yeah. I like the cool stuff.
Even if it's just a refuel for your planes, I mean, why not?
I mean, that's how I used to use it in Wargame. I wouldn't even really rush with too much of that stuff. I would take the what are those things called? There's like the Poyongs or whatever for NATO, that were the smaller boats, but they had a cannon on the front and they could shoot, like they had some SAM missiles. Do you remember the one I'm talking about? It's not like a cruiser. It's like specifically a small boat, but it wasn't small enough to do the river stuff. It had a cannon on the front, maybe 2 cannons, and it shot air-to-air missiles, or it shot SAM missiles. So I could just put it behind. I'd put it into like a little what's it called? Bay or something like that behind a hill, so that if their planes got too cocky, surprise, here's a bunch of SAM missiles. And if their ground units tried to flank or something like something like that, it's also got, I think it was called the Pyongyang or something like that, which I know is a
Pyongyang. Yeah, that was a red one.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Okay.
You had the Type 23, I think, maybe.
Wasn't the Type 23. I'm pretty sure there was a P involved somewhere in there for the NATO. For the NATO units.
I mean, you had the Lafayette, which is an expensive one.
That was a big one. Still a smaller boat.
Yeah, I don't remember that one. It's not the SDRB. That's a riverboat.
Nope. Like using those a lot, though, too. I think there was a P in there somewhere.
Comment down below. I don't know. Okay.
If I remember it, I'll put it up there.
Yeah.
Shoot, there was another thing I was going to talk about. Oh. What are we naming our clan?
Ooh. Bofa.
Done.
It's probably going to be 4-letter clan tag limit, right? So
BOFA. Can we think of something else to make it abbreviate to in case they ask?
BFA.
BFA?
Well, like.
So have it be but BOFA. Like what's BOFA is an acronym, but it's completely something else. Like it's BOFA. Like it's definitely BOFA, but it's something else. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah. That's an important one.
Beautiful. Maybe not beautiful.
We got this. Hold up.
You guys tell us. You guys tell us. Everybody listening right now. So if we want it to be BOFA, give us what that reads out as. If you want the acronym to be BOFA, give us some ideas of what we should. If it's going to be named BOFA, what does it stand for? Or if you got some other ideas, tell us. Because I immediately went Terror Group. I wanted to call it, I could immediately call it Terror Group, which would track. That'd make a lot of sense.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, Terror Group works too. But anyway, that's gonna do it for this week. We have 4 weeks left until the full release of Broken Arrow. So super excited. We'll try and keep up with these as much as we can, but things pop up. I'm going to be very busy these next few weeks, but obviously I am very in tune with Broken Arrow. I fully plan on full-time streaming and creating content on this when it actually does release. But up until that point, I have several games, one of which I got pings for as we spoke today for Star Citizen, which I have stuff going on for Star Citizen, which I hope you join me in too, Bolt. We got Fleet Week starting up in 2 days. There's some cool stuff happening. And then I've got some other, what's it called? I don't know. I've got some other things that I need to attend to. I have some, there's a word for it, but I'm blanking on it as I do. There's some other things that I have some other obligations for the main channel. Yeah, I've got some stuff for Tarkov. I've got some stuff for Gray Zone Warfare that's going to take me all the way up until Broken Arrow. And of course, I'm assuming that you've got some stuff going on too. So we're very busy, but we see you guys in the comments, which I think I mentioned this to you. We actually have people asking for more podcast episodes, so we got to keep this going. Nice, yeah. We got to keep this going. And if there's anything that you guys think we missed, make sure you leave it below. Give us some ideas. And of course, because this is on my channel, we've got Bolt here. Make sure you go check out Bolt's channel. He does way more. Actually, he just plays Warno in general. I don't play Warno. There's a lot of games that Bolt plays that I do not. And there's, of course, lots and lots and lots better exclusive content over on Bolt's channel. So make sure you check out Bolt's channel. Give him a sub below. Make sure you check out what he's got going on over there. But otherwise, that is this week's episode of the Debrief. Thank you guys very much for hanging out, and hope you have a nice day. See you guys.